Look, I think the contents of the report should be treated carefully. I think there were a number of restrictions in terms of what the inspectors could actually access and for how long they could access sites, such as the Wuhan laboratory, for example. The wet market, we know, had already been cleaned up. And I think there are some question marks around the report itself. I don't think they've had enough time to be able to adequately explore what has occurred, to be able to adequately investigate what may have occurred. And I think also when we consider China and Beijing's approach to these sorts of matters, we need to recognise that Beijing is not open on these types of things. I think there were people who were off limits to the investigators. And I think what we have seen is Beijing adopt a very similar approach in some respects to their initial cover-up of the SARS crisis back in 2003. But unlike in SARS in 2003, we haven't actually seen anyone within the Chinese government take the fall at a senior level for what has occurred.
It then does bring into question the integrity of the WHO. We know China has been a significant funder of the organisation, particularly in the absence of the US under Donald Trump's administration. So how delicate is the operation? They want to investigate, but they are so constrained by China.
Well, that was one of the interesting things in the report, because the independent reviewers, they did say that the World Health Organization itself had also failed. And I think the World Health Organization under Tedros's leadership also acted very differently to how they acted in the SARS crisis. We had very open leadership in the SARS crisis. We had a more prompt response. We had the global health alert followed very shortly afterwards by travel restrictions. We didn't have that this time around. We had a significant time lag between the global health alert and then the eventual decision to impose travel restrictions. And so I think the World Health Organization is also under a cloud at this particular point in time. And that is certainly something that Helen Clark alluded to in her findings and her commentary on what the independent reviewers found.
Yeah. So then it comes to this question about a global pandemic treaty, which a number of countries have now called for. How hard would that be to achieve, and does it necessarily need to be outside the current frameworks that we have globally?
Look, I think there is a little bit of pushback now against Beijing. So it may be more possible for us to achieve it, because I think a lot of countries have been quite disappointed. First of all, with the time lag between the identification of the first cases to then open sharing of the findings in relation to what was occurring in Wuhan. That said, though, China does pull a lot of strings, and there are a lot of countries globally who do benefit from their relationship with China. So it could be quite difficult. There is, however, a trust deficit globally now that we are seeing with Beijing. We do see a lot of countries now are not trusting what is coming out of Beijing. So I think they have lost a lot of soft power. So perhaps the time is primed for this kind of concerted global action to really get to the bottom of what occurred, to make sure that it's not able to happen again.
And we're looking now at the UN negotiating with China over a no restrictions visit to Xinjiang. Again, is it likely China would grant credible access to the United Nations?
Look, I think it's highly doubtful. And I think Michelle Bachelet will need to really work hard to try and negotiate full, unfettered access to the sites that she would like to go to with the team of investigators. I really don't see it as a possibility, however. And I think that, like the World Health Organization, or the independent team, that went to Wuhan, there's got to be limitations placed upon the team. And I think you may get things negotiated from the outset that are then reneged upon once the team is inside of Xinjiang. And I think at that point, if that is what occurs, the team should just leave. I don't think they should proceed under a restricted approach. I think the best signal is to say, no, this is not what was agreed upon. This is not going to help us to sort out what is actually occurring inside of Xinjiang.
And then there's the danger of giving China credibility for them to then point to this report as saying, you see nothing to see here.
That's right, and that's certainly what we've seen with the independent review of the COVID-19 pandemic as well. So there was a moment where they discussed that they basically, had been found to be not that problematic in the long run.
Good to talk, Anna. Appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you very much.